Okay, we are live. So, hi all, welcome to episode 32 of the All About FPL podcast or stream. I think Game Week 35 was very bad, right? To say the least. I really don't want to talk about it. I mean, such a bad
Yeah,
intro, right? It is as bad
scores
as
looked
what
really
Game Week
low.
35 was. So,
The scores looked really low, but somehow I managed to get a green arrow.
Lucky
I
you,
didn't get.
man.
I mean, it still doesn't feel good, right? You would rather get a 60, 70 pointer and get a small red arrow than get a 44 and get a small green arrow, right?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my score. So, we'll quickly jump into what we are going to cover in this particular episode. We're
Totally.
going to try to keep it short. I'm trying to
Yeah.
put pressure on the guys so that we keep it short and not drag it. So we'll just talk in brief, like Game Week 35 in brief. Really, it's pointless to talk about it because you don't want to talk about things that went bad. We'll look at the current transfer trends. I mean, pretty obvious moves are being made at this point, and look at Double Game Week 36, the players to pick, and if any differentials are available. Obviously, we'll be covering in brief about what to do with Solly March and who would be the ideal replacement or replacements. And again, I think it's the same Alexander Isaac versus Wilson, whether to go with one of them or both or any other Newcastle asset. And we look at captaincy and our bus teams. So let's just straight away jump into Game Week 35. Anything that caught your eyes, guys? I mean, although this was a pretty surprising week, Brighton getting hammered by Everton, Fulham hammering Leicester, United losing, not obvious, but was bad. Arsenal are back, but unfortunately it's starting to slip away, right, Sankalp?
Yeah, I don't think, I said it in the last episode as well. I don't expect the title to come anymore. Obviously, that's gone. But the main thing is to end the season well, right? To end it with the maximum amount of points possible so that you go into the next season a bit more positively. So as long as that happens, this was a good victory for sure. But FPL point of view, very surprised with some of the score lines, right? I think the smaller teams that we did not really focus on. Nottingham Forest for 4, Southampton 3, Brighton 1, Everton 5. Then you have Leicester, I think 5, Fulham 5, Leicester 3, right? So a lot of goals that I think fans of those clubs would have enjoyed. They would have got those green arrows. Everton fans would have Dwight McNeil or Dukure, and Fulham fans would have Willian, and Nottingham Forest fans would have definitely have some of those attackers. But I think most of us could not get into that mode, right? So this is a fun segue, I think, to Game Week 36 because now that some results like this are coming, and we know that there's a greater, I would say, uh, inertia in the teams which are below who are fighting for relegation than in the title and top four, right? Because more or less it looks settled, right? Brighton's loss obviously made it much more easier for teams like Newcastle and United now. It's only Liverpool which is now looking closer, trying to push the mode. So I think this will be a good segue if we can start talking about these clubs a bit more, and maybe 36, maybe 37. But I think there are some potential fun picks available now for us to go for.
With that, I mean, obviously we look at the transfer trends, obviously to see whether the fun picks are being picked at this point, and pretty much to say it is in at this point. People are still looking at double game week players, and obviously we have Wilson, Isaac, McAllister, Odegaard. Odegaard, obviously, we did discuss about Odegaard 3 weeks back when people were shipping out
Yeah,
Arsenal assets, and we said that at one point of time people will go back to Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, or any other Arsenal attackers because their fixtures do turn over the last 2 weeks. So that's what is happening. And Estupinian is again, I think, purely a double game week pick. Obviously, transfer out is pretty much, I think, very complementary to the ins, so they all make sense. Um,
yeah. So who do we see at the end? Okay, so Saka at the end. Yeah, I think makes sense. He doesn't look on form.
Only
Watkins.
the surprising transfer in is Estopinian. So I don't expect, maybe it is a futuristic transfer because of the back to back double game weeks. but I don't expect a clean sheet this week. Given
for
that
Brighton.
both are big games, both are going to be tough. I don't really expect a clean sheet, but maybe it is, with respect to the four games that are piled up, maybe because of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
otherwise,
The
the rest of the numbers make sense.
ceiling looks lower with that move, right? Somehow, I would rather save the transfer than do it.
Yeah, again, it depends, the number of players that you have, the number of players that you want to target this week and next week, particularly Brighton. Those who've got March like me, they might have a decision in hand whether if that is a single Brighton attacker or if it is someone you want to get in for this week. Either it is Newcastle or a like-to-like replacement like McAllister. That I can understand, but Estepinian probably this week it doesn't make much sense. But maybe for rest of the season, maybe it would be an ideal choice.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a question that I already see. I think Moro is asking: Is Alvarez a good option? You know, we don't have a clear cut winner in Madrid. I mean, most of us were expecting it, but some people were thinking there might be, City bulldoze. Rooney made a comment that City will go and definitely defeat Madrid, but obviously this is a 1-1. So obviously Pep has to now play a bit of roulette, right? And a league looks closer for him, and they have a double game week next week. So, do you think that players like, for example, Haaland, if does do you think he gets benched this week?
I'm not sure about benching, given how he has played all these games. Unless otherwise he is injured, I don't remember him being benched by Pep all season, or unless he
Yeah,
is
yeah.
as a niggle or something. I expect Haaland to fully start. Maybe his minutes would be, might be something which needs to be watched out, considering the second leg of Champions League. But we did see last week that he is able to play all three. KDB, Alvarez, and Haaland, all three did play. So Alvarez is definitely worth a punt, I would say. But what is your primary focus? If this week, if not for double game week, you are all sorted with your double game week players this week, as well as next week, then yeah, go for it. Alvarez is really a decent punt, which worked for many couple of weeks back. In 34, when they went in early, he came out with 11 or 12 points, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah.
really, really good punt if it works. In the next couple of game weeks.
I think you can go for such picks for if you already have someone like Haaland and Isaac, right? So if you have two of these forwards already in your team, like I have them in my team, I have Alvarez in my team as well, but my moves are a bit different. But if you have Haaland and Isaac, then there's a potential for you to think of Wilson or Alvarez, right? What helps Alvarez is Wilson is not a sure shot starter. I think he'll start one by two, right? He's getting rotated, and against Arsenal, it was not a strong performance. And so I don't expect him to start both games. So if he starts one game and he starts say 30 minutes in the second game, right? So he has basically a 70 plus 30 or 80 plus 30, 110 minutes ceiling, right, in terms of minutes. And Alvarez will be the guy who will stay on pitch while Haaland, obviously, even if he starts, he'll be the guy who will be taken off like 70 minutes, right? So you have a Alvarez 90 minutes versus Wilson 110 minutes, right? So it's not single game week player versus double game week player. Like it's closer than what people realize.
All right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, from what I feel is that at 6 million you're getting an asset from City who has a very high ceiling, who will get you points. Like randomly, he might burst and he'll get you those unexpected double digits. So if you have him, you'll gain rights, and it's a good punt to have. But you don't know Pep, right? You can never trust him. You don't know who's going to play when. Obviously,
One thing I read One thing I
hopeless
read is
defense anytime
there is
soon.
a possible KDB injury. I don't know if you guys saw the Champions League match. I did not, but I saw that I read somewhere that KDB limped off at the end of the Champions League match. At What happened in the last match was against Leeds United. Both KDB and Alvarez started, and what happened was KDB was going much more, attacking, while Alvarez was playing a bit deeper than he plays usual. Obviously, he still could have had, I think, couple of assists and one goal even, right? So that somehow he did not materialize. But if KDB does not play for some reason, right? If there's some injury scare and he gets rested, then Anwal almost plays like a second forward. In that case, the ceiling becomes much higher than you would think, otherwise, right?
Yes, I mean, I think let's wait and see what updates we get regarding whatever you said about KDB. I mean,
From Pep,
yeah, we'll
I don't
we'll
think
get
we'll
an
get
update.
any.
We'll see.
We'll see, but obviously it makes
He'll
sense
say
to wait a
he
bit.
he will
Yeah,
never even report saying that there was an injury in the first place, so we don't know.
correct.
That's right. So, anyways, I think we've covered up transfer trends. A lot of pretty
Yeah,
obvious moves are being made at this point. Let's quickly jump to double game week 36. Obviously, here are the fixtures, and obviously Newcastle and Brighton have a double. Newcastle play Leeds away, and they play Brighton at home, while Brighton play Arsenal and Newcastle. I mean, the reason
both
why
away.
yeah, and the reason I laughed is that I remember one of those games during COVID where it was Mope who scored and there were all sort of drama. So I just remember that Arsenal Brighton always turns out to be a very, a fierce game over the last few seasons we are seeing. A tough game for Brighton. I think this is a very, if you see, it's a tough double game week for both the teams, to be honest. Leeds have a lot of things in their plate at this point they have to play, and this is like a 9 pointer game for Leeds, and Newcastle need to cement top four, so even they have a lot to play, and Brighton need
Yeah,
to end well in the European spot. So it's a tough double game week for both the teams because they have a lot of things to deliver.
yeah, almost becomes blinding for us, right? Like you said, these are not easy fixes for either Newcastle or Leeds or Brighton, right? And we are getting sucked into those double game week transfers, but there's a possibility that other teams have good fixes. For example, Spurs go Villa away. Traditionally, Kane has done really well those matches. You have Chelsea face Nottingham Forest at home. I think it will be a good scoring match. You have Palace with Bournemouth at home. Palace are playing so well now and scoring a lot of goals, right? And they have faced Bournemouth at home. I think good fixture for Palace. Then you have United play Wolves. I don't know why anyone is not talking about it because maybe because the West Ham fixture, but at home to Wolves, Wolves away record is one of the worst. The worst. I know you will, try swing your head and say, no, it's United, but it's Old Trafford. You guys have done really well at Old Trafford. Right, away matches you have struggled definitely, but at home you have done well. And Wolves have exactly the opposite record. They are pathetic away. Right, so it's a strong match on paper for sure. Right, it's a home match at Old Trafford. Right, at the same time you have Liverpool going away to Leicester. Right, Leicester who just conceded 4 goals to Fulham. They are going to face Liverpool now, who are chasing top four. Right, because we are talking about United, we are talking about Newcastle. Liverpool now are in the race. They are still, expecting and they're hoping that someone fails and they want to pick it up. They're almost the best attacking returns numbers over the last few weeks. Right, so lot of good single week fixtures which we can actually attack rather than get sucked into those double game week punts. And most of us have Newcastle and Brighton assets. It's not like we don't have and we need to cover them, right? Most of us have at least one of each, and some at maybe three or four even. Right? Any fixture you guys would like to target apart from these two, double game week teams?
Hmm. Very tough. I think United Wolves is definitely a good game. I mean, to speak that finally that United have a rest for a complete week rather than playing, continuous games every 2 3 days. So I think that will be a much, big blessing in disguise for United. So I think we will play well, and
And
the
Varane is
players
coming
should,
back
yeah, mostly he should. Let's see. I
mostly.
mean, we'll get a
Mm.
proper update, but
Yeah,
if he's
yeah.
back, I think that should improve, and probably that will allow Luke Shaw to go back to his spot on the left, and I think it is Dalo who might move to the right. So we'll have Shaw back in his ideal
As
place.
a
So let's see.
fullback. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also a good game. I think Chelsea Forest is going to be a good game again. I mean, Chelsea all of a sudden they woke up in the second half last game. So
Yeah. Finally,
so
they scored
I mean,
3 goals. This they scored more goals than Arsenal and City for a change.
I mean that's why it was a weird game week, right?
Yeah, Lampard ensuring his team scores 3 goals. Of course, a
Yeah.
weird game week. And Nottingham are an attacking team. They are trying to get out of relegation battle. All right, I think they are a bit more favorites now, having won that match 4-3. Right there. So the good thing is they put pressure back on Everton. Everton are still not secure. If they had lost, Everton would have felt better about it. But now the pressure is back on Everton. Everton would like to again get something out of that City game, which I know is difficult. But Nottingham and Chelsea, I think there's a lot of points potential there. It feels like another 3-2, 4-3, 2-1, or 2-2 kind of a game. There's a lot of potential of points there. People are there with Morgan, I think Morgan White, right?
Gibbs White.
Gibbs White, sorry. Gibbs White, right?
No,
So
you're correct. It's Morgan
good.
Gibbs White.
Okay, Morgan Gibson. So there's a lot of good options available. I don't know why people are not talking about Liverpool assets, because I think most of us have Trent and Salah or only Salah, but attackers like Diaz, if he starts, right, I think this is huge potential for Diaz Howell, because Jota was recently injured. I don't expect him to start both the matches, back to back, right? So I think Diaz comes in for this match, and from a differential point of view, I think Diaz will be a top differential this game week. And obviously Salah and Trent, if you don't have it, uh, I would even try to bring them in before the other names in the double game week fixes, right? So double game week fixes, right? I don't think we can escape it. Who do you guys have in your team, and who do you want to bring?
Oh,
Mhm. Mine
for
is what to
me,
do
it
with Solly
is,
March.
I think,
What?
probably the worst. you're not alone. So I have probably the worst double game week players currently. I have March, I have Estopinian, I have Enciso. So these are the Brighton side of players that I have. Literally, Enciso could be benched once again. We never know. March is not there, so I literally don't have both Mitoma or McAllister. So I'm just wondering who to cover. But the only thing that puts me off is the fixtures of Brighton this week. If it is next week, then
But
probably I would.
yeah,
If it is next week, I would definitely consider doing a sideways move from March to a Mitomo or a McAllister. But considering both games are away, both are relatively tough. I'm really not March to a Mitomo or a McAllister. So I'm just giving it a thought to see if that is something I really want. But
I
for
think
me, the
at least.
primary transfer getting Isaac or Wilson. So I just have
Oh, okay,
Trippier as
you
one of
don't
my.
have them as well. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. So I literally
Brighton
don't have.
attack looks good.
Uh-huh.
Brighton attack looks good because Arsenal have been conceding like hell at home. Right, we have conceded goal for sure. Even Chelsea managed to score one. Right, did they? Or they didn't. But most of the matches we have, I think we are in the bottom five when it comes to home, right? In the goals conceded, right? So Brighton and Arsenal will be a good fixture. Away we won there 4-2, but there were 6 goals in the match, right? And Brighton are playing much better than they played back in January, right? So if you have attackers, I don't think you should have anything to worry. For example, Enciso, right? He'll definitely not play 180, but he has a potential of similar 120 odd minutes, right? Which if you go Wilson, Wilson will also give you 120 odd minutes. Right? So it's just a matter of where do you want to go. But McAllister, man, that goal, such a dodgy goal. So difficult to see, those assets get points.
Mhm. That's the funny thing, right? Always the players who don't want to perform, all of the sudden they'll score points in the extreme end, and
97th minute penalty.
There are a couple
Somewhere
of
they scored a
questions
goal.
since we are talking about McAllister or Newcastle. There are a couple of
Yeah.
questions related to McAllister and Newcastle. If we can pin that, we can get that answers straight away.
Yeah, perfect. So Murphy is a player that I really liked over the last few weeks. I think Spurs he scored 2 goals. Right. Even Arsenal he hit the post very early on. I think within the first 5 minutes he hit the post.
Hmm.
After that he subdued a bit. But the only problem with Murphy is the possibility of Almiron coming in. But I think the form is such of Murphy that he will get both starts. Unless there is a fatigue or something, I expect Murphy to get close to 150, 140, 150 odd minutes, and he looks like a interesting differential. Right, we are in game week 36. We have to talk a bit about differentials now. There's no point doing what everyone else is doing. You're not going to gain ranks anymore, right? So Murphy looked like a very good differential to me. Who are the names that you would expect? Do you guys want to go for Jolinton instead or McAllister?
Yeah, for me, it would be Jolinton. You know, given that he off late he's trying to get more involved into the attack. He's getting regular minutes. You know, there is a bit of threat that people are talking in reference to Almiron. I don't think so. Almiron is still playing 20-30 minute cameos on week in week out basis. But for me, Joe Linton could be the punt that you're looking for. Outside bet kind of a differential that if you want. So Joe Linton would be my suggestion.
Anyone going for Willock, the old ex-Arsenal guy? He almost scored twice against us. Do you guys
Maybe
think
he'll
there's a
score
haul
this
there?
week, right? Maybe he'll score this week.
He gets into good positions. Willock is a very clever player, and he always, runs with the ball, drives with the ball. He has a lot of good off-the-ball movement, right? So he will always find himself in opportunities to score. It's just that he's not a great finisher for sure. Right? For a couple of seasons back, during this time, he went on a like 6 game week run. Right? He kept scoring
Hmm.
every week, one goal, one goal, one. I remember that. And basis that Newcastle actually bought him for 25 million, so we were happy. But uh, I think he'll get opportunities, and he'll get more opportunities than a Jolinton. Right? That is something that I will always feel. Jollington has such a defensive aura, right? He is much more engaged in battles with the fullbacks. Physically, he will be trying to hit, push, something or the other he'll be doing. But I'm not sure how much he'll get involved in the actual FPL points.
Let me pin this question because it has Willock. So, have two free transfers. Should I do March to Willock and Jota to Ferguson this week, or do March to McAllister, then bring in KDB next week without transferring Salah?
How much money he has?
Hmm.
See,
So
what do you guys think?
Hmm.
without transferring
I'm not.
Salah, okay.
I'm not convinced of Jota to Ferguson. I don't know whether Ferguson is going to play both the games. I have no idea. He may play a game. No, it doesn't look enticing.
Yeah, not really excited about that either.
So
You have to wait and watch.
Ferguson, when fit, yeah, Ferguson, when fit, also was rotated a lot by RDZ, who said, this is a young guy, I want to protect him. And he's coming back from a decent, strong injury, right? So I don't expect him to start both matches. I think even if one start might be difficult because these are two difficult, very physical fixtures, right? Both Arsenal and Newcastle away. So I feel he's more of, off the bench, 30 minutes odd kind of a guy. And Jota still has
And they
Leicester.
have that's the thing.
Right. Jota still has Leicester. While I think he may not start, but if you're looking for a Jota 30 minutes against Leicester versus this guy, Ferguson 45 to 60 minutes against Newcastle and Arsenal, I think you would rather go for Leicester, right? Leicester is the worst defense.
Hmm. I think what is happening is that he primarily wants to get in a double game week player
Yeah,
there, right? I think then why not go for a player who has a better single game week fixture if with your second free
exactly.
transfer if you want to do that. Yeah, I think I was just thinking any strikers I want to go. I might say maybe Gabriel Jesus if you want to ship him out for Jota. Why not? I mean, Arsenal have good run of games and they'll probably want to finish strong. So
Yeah, I think there's a lot of goals as well in that match, right? I don't mind a Jesus transfer, and he mentioned about KDB. Just that keep a note about that KDB injury, possible KDB. I'm not thinking it's a serious injury, but I think that might ensure that Pep rotates him and plays him more in the Champions League matches, right? Even if City have a double game week next fixture, I don't expect any of our top players to start both the matches, especially KDB. So there's not a lot of high ceiling there if you are thinking of going for KDB. Spurs assets, right? Kane obviously is out of range player unless you are selling Haaland. It makes no sense. But at the back, I thought Poro is looking good and good. I don't know. Villa is again looking a bit dicey in the attack. Would you go for someone like Poro?
it's tough. I mean, his positioning has been good so far. He's been going attacking forward, and I mean, as soon as Kane scored, I just knew that it's going to be a headed goal. It was a headed goal because I just saw Poro assist and I was like he must have whipped some ball and boom, he must have gone. So I mean, yeah. I mean, if we look at, I think Spurs they're ending the season well with good fixtures. I mean, Villa, Brentford, and Leeds. They're good. I mean, so I think this is a good time for Spurs to end the season well. But even their opponents want to end the season well. So it's going to be a good game. I mean, whoever plays well will score. I mean, not a bad
Yeah.
shout for the price, but I don't know exactly. I think Poro is 4.8. That's what at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what people are a bit confused what to do with that price range.
And talking about midfielders, right? I think we have kept it for the last, but Palace midfielders are looking really, really good. There's a shout for Zaha. Generally, I get sucked into Zaha towards the end of every season. This season, I've decided not to. But it's a good shout. They have good fixtures. They're playing well. The coach has given them all the license to attack. They are out of relegation battle. They have nothing to lose. It's just looking really, really good, right? And they have Bournemouth at home. I think it's a good fixture for them to score goals, right? Rather than going for a Willock or a Jolington, will you go for someone like Eze?
I was thinking of doing maybe March to Eze,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Mass replacement.
that's what I mean. But and only issue is that the reason why March was in our squads or we have Brighton places because they have consecutive double game weeks and people at the moment are looking at amount of games, the number of games rather than the difficulty of games. So I mean, obviously Brighton have a tougher run for this week, while next week I think is pretty much lean for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying lean just because that they play Southampton, that is why it is lean. So yeah, I mean, Eze is I am thinking of getting in Eze instead of going McAllister, but I may end up going McAllister so that I get the extra game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm still here and there. I'm not really sure with that, but Eze is someone who's definitely I'm thinking about.
So,
And
out of 4 games, I think at some point of time we might get a McAllister rest because he's the only guy who's playing non-stop, right? But his stats are really, really good. I think I was seeing somewhere, and since World Cup, right? He's among the top five midfielders, top three midfielders, I think, for non-penalty XG even. Right, so he's got really good inherent stats, and even looking at the match in the Everton match, he had one header stopped. He had almost one goal, one shot blocked. Right, so he was getting to good opportunities. He could have scored a goal otherwise also apart from the dodgy goal that he scored. So logically, I think he's a good choice, right? It depends a bit on where you are, right? If you are on a good rank and you want to just close the season well, I think McAllister makes sense, right? If you're chasing, I think there's a lot of scope for differences, in either game week. At least this game week, I don't think there's a huge ceiling for McAllister. So there's a possibility that you can, go for players like Eze, players like even Odegaard. Oh, right, Odegaard or Martinelli. Martinelli against Brighton, I think he gave a 13 or 14 pointers in the away fixture, and he'll have a lot of space go trying to attack Brighton from left side. Right, so these are good players to go for. I'm in a similar spot. I have March, but I don't think I'm doing McAllister because hey, well, what do I have to lose, right? So if there are any people who are chasing, I would strongly say recommend someone else than McAllister because everyone else is going for McAllister.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, AJ is a good shot. I mean, definitely, I'm looking at him. This is one question. This is relevant to what we've been discussing. Should I keep Alvarez? So we did discuss about Alvarez a few minutes back, and we came to a conclusion to keep Alvarez because he has high ceiling at this point.
Yeah,
And
I have Alvarez, but I'm thinking of moving him out actually. I have Isaac, I have Haaland. Somehow, having watched Alvarez for the last 2 weeks, I feel like it's not a high ceiling player. It's a player who will give me something, some returns for sure, but not a strong ceiling. I'm more enticed towards going towards Wilson. Very X minutes dodgy, but I think there's some good potential there. Wilson is on good form. I'll not take Arsenal match into account because it was a very tough fixture, right? Physically, very tough battle that both the clubs fought. But looking at the matches now, they have Brighton and they have who leads away, right? While I think it's a difficult fixture for Newcastle defense, I think it's a good fixture for Newcastle attack. I think in both the matches, Newcastle will definitely score goals, while they'll definitely concede as well, right? So there's a good case. For example, he's saying he has Isaac. So if he wants to go for someone like Wilson, like me, if he wants to double up, there's a good possibility that you go double because you don't know which Newcastle forward will get those goals, right? If you have both, at least you are secured in that manner.
yeah, I mean, if he doesn't want to do that move and he has 2 million,
Yeah.
one wants to replace Bundia, then I think if you want Eze is one, or I think Arsenal midfielders. I think I'll rate Arsenal midfielders above Palace, so maybe one of Martinelli or Odegaard. If not, then I think it is Eze. Then Zaha. It's how much you trust Zaha, you get him in.
Yeah, it's very difficult to trust him over 3 picks, but you just hope for the best. But if you don't have McAllister, you can play one, solid move like McAllister. Everyone will have. You have McAllister and play one differential move like Wilson, right? So you can play around that. You need not take two risky decision as well. You can balance it out. Take one risky, one non-risky. But I have a good feeling about going Odegaard, someone like Odegaard. I have Martinelli. I want to double up this week itself and close up because I feel the next 2 weeks are really good for Arsenal attack, and even this week there are good goals in this fixture at least.
Yes, I mean, I'll try to get an Arsenal play maybe next week. Let's see. Unfortunately, Suresh, I don't think we'll be able to join because his laptop
Yes.
has stopped working. So we'll see what happens if he's able to join in a couple of minutes later. I think we've answered a couple of questions, and
Yeah.
let's maybe look at our bus teams and then just cover captaincy in brief, and then we'll wind up.
Close. Yep.
So this is your bus teams, Uncle.
Yes, this is my bus team. I have to sell March, right, and I plan to sell Alvarez as well. So I'm still thinking about it. The move that I have in my mind is basically, Alvarez to Wilson, bring Wilson in and captain him. I want to use that money to get, say, go from March to Odegaard, and for that I will have to sell Ederson on a hit. So not the best move, but it gives me all the players that I want to have. Wilson, Odegaard, and take off Ederson, which will take me to steal on a double game week, which I don't think will be much, but still will be like 4 to 5 pointer maybe, right? Close to Allison because I think this will be the week even Liverpool will concede. Leicester ideally will score one goal somehow, right? So that's the move that is there in my mind, but I'm still thinking about it because I cannot play all my attackers, right? I'll still have to bench one, and I don't know which one I'll be able to bench, right? So I might just do one move, Alvarez to Wilson, but I'm definitely bringing in Wilson, as a pure defensive.
Yeah, so there is one question here. Is it good to have both Isaac and Wilson? Purely better because you don't know who starts. That's it, as simple as that.
Yeah, both might rotate. You might get an opportunity where you see Isaac starting both. I think Isaac has a higher probability to start both the matches because he's a more complete player. But whenever both of them play, Isaac is the one creating for Wilson to score, right? So ideally, it makes sense if you can bring in both the guys. There's a stronger ceiling there in these moves.
Yes. Let's look at my team. And the issue is that I don't know whether I need to get in Wilson because I have Botman. So I'm already done with triple Newcastle.
Because
And
yeah,
I have my. So March is currently sitting as a first sub. So I'll probably
yeah,
ship him out for SJ or McAllister.
and play them.
And yeah, I'll play him. But Watkins, I don't know what to do. So
You don't have Trent in your team, right?
no.
You don't want to bring in Trent against Leicester City,
No, I just got in Salah forcibly because of FOMO. Otherwise, I was completely with Kane.
but he's giving you
So
points, right?
yeah, it's giving me points. I have no complaints there. But my
But
actual
this
my
week
actual plan
you will
move.
also have Grealish bench, right? There's a strong
Oh,
possibility Grealish will be benched again.
yeah, yeah. So anyways, me and Pep we planned our moves very early. So the issue is that my plan move as of last week was to ship out Botman and Watkins for maybe Akanji uh, and Wilson. But with Mars getting injured, uh, that's what I have to ship March out first and the bench Watkins or something like that. So I'm really not sure what to do.
Okay, okay.
It's a weird thing. I'm just stuck in a weird spot now because I have Botman.
Yeah, and Newcastle defense does not make any sense, especially Botman. If you have Scar, it makes a bit more sense because that guy is really looking to score. He would have almost scored thanks to Ramsdale we saved. But that guy is much more, has a higher potential to score. Botman is just Maxi is taking a yellow card, and I don't see Newcastle getting clean sheets as well. Right, you might get lucky with a clean sheet, but not a lot of ceiling there. Who do you have on your bench? You have Saw on your bench. Why don't you play Saw in place of Botman?
Yeah, so I could start Shaw and ship out Botman and
Yeah,
Watkins and get in Wilson and then just
yeah,
see that's what I'm thinking. That's why it's purely a bus team because I'm not sure. Like after we get a lot of press conference updates, only we'll know exactly like sometimes out of all of a sudden somebody's rolled out and you lose another player and you need to
correct,
decide at
correct,
the
correct.
last moment. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that I mean, if we'll answer a couple of questions we've got. That's getting in Wilson for this week will be a short term because later on we won't be using him. So we'll go for Jesus and a 5-6 fielder and the differential. I think we did say right. So in this case, I think Jesus and Eze might be the best.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Jesus as a combination is very good
I think Suresh is back. Suresh,
Hey
can
for
you
his
guys,
hear
can
us?
team.
you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can.
Okay. My
So
my browser
we go for a
crashed and
bus team.
then yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's
No
go.
problem. So what's the plan?
So the plan is to bring in two Newcastle strikers in place
Okay.
of Tony as well as Haaland. So
Okay.
that's
So
Ooh,
going
you're
to
hoo,
be
hoo, 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 hoo.
you're taking out the best strikers in the game and going for
that's going to be
complete
a
double game week.
ridiculous
Next best strike.
move.
Okay.
That's going to be a ridiculous move, I know, but let's see how that
Go
pans
for it.
out. This was the plan, very
Yeah.
at the very beginning itself. Couple of weeks back, this was the tentative plan to take Tony out for Isak and
Yeah.
Haaland out for Wilson. Haaland is going to come back in a week, but just want to go for that double game week punt and captain one of Isak or Wilson. So that's the plan currently. So Haaland is going to come back in game week 37.
Okay.
In place of Wilson.
Okay. Makes sense. It,
Mm.
risky, but makes sense.
Suresh is praying Isaac plus Wilson equal to Haaland. So
Suresh, Suresh has massive balls. So let's see how it works out.
yeah,
I,
I
I
think
I
this
know the
this
result already, but let's see.
yeah.
Okay,
Haaland
let's go to the
outscores
final
the
questions.
yeah. So this question is for Suresh. Thoughts on Inchi? So would you move him out on a hit for McAllister?
I know I would play him.
Basically, you'll play him.
He still gets minutes. He seems to be lively, active, and all that. Just that the end product is not there. He got a couple of assists in 34, not 34. What game? 33, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah.
he is definitely a good asset to keep, very cheap. So I'm definitely starting for the both the game weeks.
See, basically, he
Okay.
will sell a forward and get a midfielder, right? So he will get someone else in the forward slot, right? If the other slot is someone like Wilson, Isaac, you do it.
Maybe, but if it comes with a -4 or something of that sort, I would
Yeah,
still not recommend. I would request to stick with NCSO.
I'll do it for sure because Enciso is not looking like a high ceiling player. McAllister similar might be a bit more, right? But if you get someone like Wilson or Isaac, I think it's worth that -4, right? Because there are goals in these fixtures. I would do that,
Hmm.
especially because it's also the end of the season, right? You want to try out these moves.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is up to what you're gambling on, the number of
Yeah,
punts that you want to take. If it is way
yeah,
too risky for me, both the moves that I am doing, removing Haaland, it's for free
yes,
transfer. I'm not taking any -4 or -8 to do all that stuff.
yeah.
Even getting back
This,
Haaland is going to be a
uh,
simple free transfer.
yeah, this makes sense to me because Grealish will not start. I'm 80% sure that he'll not start.
Ah,
He'll
okay.
be benched. Right? So
Mhm.
then it gives you good players, right? Two good double game week players. Uh, for one player who will not play single game week and one player who will play say 90 odd minutes over two matches.
Makes sense then. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
We'll answer one more question and then we'll go to captaincy. That's this one. Mitoma is a must, I think. Pretty sure most of us have Mitoma.
Yeah. Mitoma is a must. See, if you want to go Brighton, I think my Mitoma is the most favorable guy. He's not giving returns for sure, but I also feel he's a bit unlucky, right? He's got goal being cancelled out and unfairly. His goal got diverted to McAllister and he scored, right? So I still feel he's the ex-lively guy who's most probably going to give you points over the next 4 game weeks, 4 or 5, four they have. Right. So no, keep if you can get him. So
Okay,
let's
so I
go to the
think
captaincy.
yeah, before we go to captaincy, I just want to ask both you guys quick, just to summarize. So for
Yeah.
those who are tuning in late, if you have Solly March, who would be your top, let's say, three replacements?
Mitoma, McAllister, Joelinton. That'll be my order.
For me, it will be Martinelli, Odegaard. I'm stuck between Eze and McAllister. I will do the third slot to McAllister. But
No,
I'll go to the Arsenal guys because I think 3 game weeks, over three game
if you
weeks,
don't
that
have
move plays off.
funds in the bank, I think most of us will hardly
Yeah.
have point two, point three.
Yeah. Then it's Eze or
So
McAllister.
hmm, okay, I think that we've covered that. So
Yeah.
let's move to captaincy, and I think we had one question about Trippier or Mitoma for captaincy, or do we? I think it's single game week players who make more sense, right? At this point, what do you guys think?
Uh, I can go, captain in the double game week, but I don't think going for any either of the defense makes sense. Right? I don't. I think both clubs have to be really lucky to get one clean sheet out of the two fixtures that they have. So if I'm going for a captaincy, it will be among the attackers. Midfielder, Mitoma is the most, I think, sensible choice among the midfielders, both Brighton as well Newcastle. And among the attackers, I think Isaac has a higher X minutes, but I still feel my gut says Wilson. With a dodgy X minutes, I know he'll play 120 and 30 odd minutes, but the guy's on form, right? I love to punt on attackers when they are on form. So
He's also on
I'm
high
my
risk, right?
ideally I would expect a Wilson to be on bench, right? So in that manner, that is the reason I would go for someone like Wilson. In my mind, I am going for Wilson. I'm pretty much there. But obviously, we'll get to know a bit. There's strong possibility that we get to know the team, before the
Yes,
deadline.
yeah.
I'll just I'll just wait 10 minutes before, and I'll watch everything with low volume. Right, I'll get the videos with low volume, and then take a call accordingly.
Yes. Any
What
other
about you
players,
guys?
Suresh?
Sorry.
In any other place other than the double game week? I mean, single game week players.
Salah, Haaland.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably Salah. The reason being it is up against Leicester, so they are considering for fun. They are conceding for fun. A team, a so-called team whom we are referring to as on the beach. A Fulham could score 5 goals. So a Liverpool who are pushing to be there, or at least inch forward to fifth place and hoping for a Champions League slot and stuff. Definitely, Salah could come out with a lot of attacking returns on that. So that would be the single game week player. Other than that, I don't expect anyone else to go crazy. I would simply stick with the double game because either of Isak or Wilson. So that's going to be where the crowd is. If you're playing, try if you're playing to save to protect your ranks, that'll be the place you must go.
Yeah. No one captaining Haaland again.
Not so much. You know, can expect some bit of reduced minutes. I did expect that versus
Yeah.
what was the last game? Whom did they play last week?
Leeds.
Leeds. All right. Yeah. So I did expect to be some having some reduced minutes that game itself. Preparing him for the Champions League game and stuff. But was surprised he did play 90 minutes. He's a machine, so maybe I'm wrong. Expecting him to be rested and stuff. Let's see.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me, if to those who are chasing ranks completely, you can go for Rashford or you can go Fernandez. I feel Fernandez will play well because naturally they're playing against Wolves. Uh, before it was almost half the Portuguese players used to play, and Fernandez used to start showboating against them, and he used to score some. He used to play well against always against Wolves. So if you want maybe one of the United boys, I know it's not to say that I'm biased and all, but I think we need to
I
end the
think it's a
season well.
point. Yeah, and you have something to achieve, and you are at Old Trafford playing a team which is one of the worst defenses in the league, right? It is a very logical point. Rashford, I think, is a strong point. He might be the winner of the game week itself, right?
Hmm. Let's see how it goes. I mean, it's let's
Last
wait and see.
question.
There's a question.
We have a last question called Is wildcard a safe for game week 37? What are you doing with your wildcard till now?
Carry it forward to game week 1 next season or game week 2. Oh, just kidding. I mean,
If you
it's
play it,
too
when do you play it? This week, next week? I
late
don't
this
think
week.
37 makes sense.
Next
This
Play
week?
week.
it this week.
Right.
It's already too late. Play it this week.
Yeah.
I would play it
Okay.
next week maybe. We'll get more clarity on City, and you attack better City assets. So
Correct. Correct.
Come on.
Even for me, that makes sense because you have City as well as United have double game week fixture, right? So
even
I mean,
Chelsea.
I'm
you still have you know who else would you go? Let's say if you are planning to play it next week,
yeah.
why not this week? You can still make room for players for next week as well. Including the likes of your United or City attackers. You can take punt on someone like Chelsea attackers, for example, the likes of Havertz, probably a 1 week game week punt.
Okay.
You can definitely, I would say go for it this week. It's already too late. Try to maximize the most out of it.
I would
Yeah,
say,
it
see,
makes
you
sense
can
to
go both.
maximize, but yeah,
You can. I mean, obviously, what I feel is generally game week. The issue is that 37 and 38. I mean, just what is my guess and thinking here. It's completely everybody is different. 37, 38 is just 2 weeks. You're just playing for 2 weeks, and then no matter what you score, you can just log out and close. You're done. Now 38 is always a drama. You'll have random players popping out of nowhere scoring. You will have high scoring fixtures. You'll have different players starting all of a sudden. We may see managers giving different players opportunity to at least play a couple of minutes, maybe 2 games, and just finish it off. So just that is the thinking. And obviously, I don't think a relegation battle will be more important. It is going to go down the wire mostly. So you'll have a lot of importance there. So I mean, it's purely open. I mean, you can go this
The
week and
reason the reason I would go next week is I can do triple Arsenal attack. I can, if say by any chance City go out of Champions League, they are facing Madrid. It always happens, right? If by any chance City go out of Champions League, means they are going to come heavy on Premier League, right? And then you can go triple City attack as well. You know the attackers, right? You have Liverpool, you have United midfielders, you have Liverpool. You can keep one Salah, and you can go for twice double Liverpool defense. More or less, you can go with a very attacking team with the teams who are looking to do something, right? And you have more information, right? If you go this week, you cannot go more than single Arsenal attack. Double will be a stretch. I mean, someone like me can do it. I'm just having fun, but with a wildcard, you will not do it, right? So you will be booking a lot of transfers for next week, say 2 or 3, which doesn't make sense to take a hit after doing a wildcard, right? So I would say if you have enough players, say you have most of us have 1 or 2 Brighton and 1 or 2 Newcastle, play it out, and next week you will get some sense and go strong. United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and good teams, right? Go strong on the attack and hope for the best.
Okay.
okay, that's it. I think we have finally,
Yes, we'll close.
yeah, finally we have managed to wrap up this episode in about 50 odd minutes. I said 30 minutes. I knew that we'll go 40, but it went 50. So, anyways, that brings us to the end of this podcast and stream. And hopefully, we've managed to cover everything that's relevant for Game Week 36 till this point. Hopefully, we don't get any surprises tomorrow from the press conferences, whether it is live or embargoed or some leaks here and there. And yeah, thank you all for taking time, both of you, Suresh and Sankalp, and thanks to all in the chat and who are watching. Please
Yes.
do drop in a like, subscribe, and any comments will be appreciated. We'll try to reply as much as we can, even off stream. And yeah,
Yeah.
we will be back next week before game week, double game week 37 to see whether Man City survive or whether they get knocked out, and to finally discuss the last 2 weeks of this, big finale season. Yeah,
All right, guys. Cheers. All the best for everyone. Thank you. Bye.
thanks, guys. Bye.
Okay.